Lewis Hamilton's shocking move to Ferrari made everyone wonder if a bunch of smart car engineers would follow him to the Ferrari team. We just got the answer to this question. At first, people thought the seven-time champion could bring anyone he wanted, and Ferrari was ready to welcome engineers from Mercedes. But it looks like this plan hit a big roadblock, and this changes everything for Ferrari's 2025 season. So how does this affect Mercedes engineers because of Hamilton's deal with his old team? And more importantly, does this change what might happen in the future for both teams? It's safe to say that Hamilton moving to Ferrari was probably the most jaw-dropping move in racing history, but people expected the aftermath to be much worse. For example, when a superstar like Hamilton decides to leave the team where he won 6 driver championships and 7 team championships, you have to ask, who's coming with him? Naturally, the race engineer is the first person you'd think would follow the driver's move. And besides him, people who weren't happy with the work being done at Mercedes headquarters about building the car a certain way were also rumored to leave, like Riccardo Mosconi, who's currently the head of trackside performance for Mercedes, but this probably won't happen in 2025. Because even though Hamilton's contract had a special rule that let him leave Mercedes starting that season, it has a no-stealing rule for the rest of the team. More specifically, the engineers he'd want to take with him can't leave. What this basically means is that the rumors from Motorsport Italia that first told everyone about Hamilton taking Bono and Mosconi with him, plus a huge group of engineers who work under these two important members of Mercedes, are not true. An official report said that Hamilton can only leave Mercedes by himself. Why does this change everything about Hamilton's future with Ferrari? Obviously, he would have wanted to start the 2025 season with his old friend and racing engineer Peter Bonington, who everyone calls Bono, but Peter has a contract that keeps him stuck with Mercedes until the end of the 2025 season, similar to the one Hamilton had before he used the special rule that let him leave for Ferrari, unlike Hamilton. Bono can't leave the team without getting in trouble. Actually, even when his contract ends, he'd have to go through something called gardening leave, where he'd still get his full paycheck from Mercedes but wouldn't be allowed to join another team. Because of this, Hamilton's first season with Ferrari changes a lot, and he'll find himself alone in a place where most people are used to working with Leclerc. Of course, he can definitely prove everyone wrong by doing better than the Monaco driver right from their first season as teammates. In 2025, but considering how much knowledge Leclerc has about Ferrari and the fact that he's like the home team's favorite son makes things a bit tough for Hamilton. Reports from Italy said that Ferrari would be super happy to accept any kind of engineer from Mercedes that they think is good, because after all, these are the people who worked really hard on making the Silver Arrows successful from 2014 to 2021. Important staff stealing happens all the time. But the rule in Hamilton's contract is pretty much the same one that Red Bull used in Vettel's contract back in 2014. And when he used it, he couldn't take some of his favorite people from Red Bull to Ferrari. But does this mean Ferrari won't get these engineers' signatures sometime soon? This probably won't be the case, because if we look at how things are at Mercedes, there's a group of engineers who are currently unhappy with how things are going when it comes to building the car. This was the main reason why Loic Serra left in the first place, and even bringing James Allison back as the team's technical director didn't help convince him to stay. So right now, he's on gardening leave but is still committed to the Ferrari project, which will start in 2025 for him. Just like Serra, this could very well happen with Bono too. As Toto Wolff said, he knows it's unavoidable that at some point after Hamilton leaves, both he and Peter will have to talk about the engineer's future with the team. Unlike the other important engineers at Mercedes, Bono's job means you're much closer to the driver than you are to the team. When talking about this, Wolff said, "I think Bono's future is a discussion which everyone needs to have in the months to come." And as much as I've talked with Bono lately, when I told him about Hamilton's move, he said, "Is it April 1st? That's something we'll discuss in the future." But even though the no-stealing rule in Hamilton's contract stops engineers and important staff from leaving Mercedes right away, It doesn't mean Wolff and the rest of the company will have an easy job convincing them that Ferrari might not be the best career move. 2024 will be a season where everyone expects Russell and Hamilton to fight really hard for good positions on the track since both have nothing to lose. One very important thing Mercedes can use to convince the engineers to stay is to do exactly this. Give both drivers in 2024 a championship-winning car. Even though this sounds like kind of a crazy scenario after Hamilton's move to Ferrari, with Wolff saying the theory that the 7-time world champion left after trying the W15 car isn't true, there's still a chance that all the changes Mercedes is working on will work amazingly. Things like the new chassis floor and gearbox, along with the new design and philosophy of the car, might bring back the glory to Mercedes, winning one race in 2 seasons is definitely not what you want to see after being on top all the time. While Mercedes got better from 3rd place to 2nd place from 2022 to 2023, it's still not enough if they're not winning races. Anything else is considered losing. When talking about this, Wolff admitted the risk of having engineers leave the team, and then having no way to stop it other than proving the car can win races and be competitive. Oddly enough, 2024 might be the best season for Mercedes to prove to their engineers that they're on the right path because it's the last season they'll have the super duo of Russell and Hamilton, who will be able to show whether the engineers have done a good job developing the car in the right direction. As Ralf Schumacher said, if the team fails to build competitive machinery in 2024, then it's very likely there's a basic problem in the team that needs to be solved by completely rebuilding the team. But that's a scenario Mercedes would want to avoid. No matter what, when talking about the leaving engineers and the driver's input to the car, Wolff was firm that everything is in their hands. He added, in terms of the development going forward, I think this is something we need to look at. The regulations stay pretty much the same when it comes to 2025. We will evaluate later in the season what it means in terms of technical information, but that's not something that bothers me at all. We have engineers that leave us and go to other teams, and the notice periods are sometimes as short as 6 months. So I don't have any doubt in Lewis's integrity in terms of sharing information. But then again, having a strong duo of drivers definitely lets the engineers enjoy getting more feedback, which might not happen starting in 2025, even though Mercedes will have the most exciting seat they can offer to any driver on the track. The choices they have to replace a legend and icon like Hamilton are very limited. Someone like Vettel and Alonso definitely have the potential to fill Hamilton's shoes. And as Wolff admitted, the team won't be shy about even reaching out to Verstappen. But what they must do is prove they have championship-winning machinery in their hands. If they're able to prove this by steadily following up on their progress in 2024, then in 2025, and then make a solid boom in 2026 when the engine rules are set to favor Mercedes and Ferrari much more than they did in 2022, because they'll revolve around how good the engine is rather than how the car cuts through the air. Then the team would set no limits on who could replace Hamilton. Adding even more to this topic, Wolff went on to say, "We will always try to have the best possible combination in our car and seek out these discussions." You can see how quickly the situation can change. At the same time, we respect contracts that exist. Drivers always want to be in the fastest car. It's up to us to demonstrate that we can build the fastest car, not just in the short and medium term, but also in the long term. This will then lead to opportunities. The ball is in our court. The mission for Mercedes couldn't be louder and clearer. Build a championship-winning car in the following years and make sure you convince your engineers that you're finally on the right track. Despite this mission being more or less made impossible by Hamilton's move, there was a lot at stake here. And besides Bono, this could mean that highly valued engineers like Riccardo Mosconi would also leave the team, making the hole that Hamilton left by leaving Mercedes even bigger. With this in mind, do you think the engineers will follow Hamilton's move once they have the freedom to do so? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're interested, click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.